You're someone with a vision for your practice, for your side hustle, and for your personal journey. But when it comes to establishing your path on how to get to where you want to be with your practice, things get a little messy. You're also someone who'd prefer to go in person instead of to groups and listening to everyone else's story. To me, it sounds like you could benefit from one-on-one consulting with our experienced Practice of the Practice consultants. From $5.95 a month and up, you can work with a consultant that will give you more direction and practical tried and tested tips matched to you and your goals. For more information, visit practiceofthepractice.com/apply. Again, that's practiceofthepractice.com/apply. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 1308. Welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast. I am Joe Sanok, your host, where we help you build a thriving private practice you absolutely love. We are so excited to have you here today, hanging out with us. Now, back in May of 2025, we put on the Group Practice Conference. And at this conference, I had this dream of putting on a conference that was unlike any other. I wanted the feeling to be like connections, that people had time to meet each other. I always hated conferences where the parts that I love the most, probably getting dinner with new people or having drinks at the end of the evening, that part was so small in the calendar. And I spent most of my time just running between breakout sessions and keynotes and all of that. And the other side of it was oftentimes it felt like I would be in a session and it'd be a 90-minute session. And I really only got about 10 to 20 minutes worth of content. There's a lot of fluff in there. It just felt like get to the point. And so for what we decided to do with the Group Practice Conference was we decided that we would have 20-minute sessions on the main stage, all of our keynotes, 20 minutes, and that we would have ample time for breakout sessions, and to have time to dig in, to talk about group practice, to get to know people, and to encourage people that if they're having a great conversation, keep that going. You don't have to come back in. Continue those conversations going. And so we found that the folks that came to the Group Practice Conference in May had such a great time. They felt emotionally connected to other group practice owners. And it was just such a great event that we've tripled the size for May of 2026. We're going to be over at Northwestern Michigan College, right on their campus. And we're partnering with both Headway and the Student Life Department to put this on. And our main stage is going to be where the actual TED Talks of Traverse City take place. And then all of our discussions and our kind of digging deeper sessions are going to be throughout an art gallery. It's going to be just such a fun, unique event that we're super excited about. And lots of you weren't able to make the Group Practice Conference in 2025. And so we want to give you just a little glimpse into that. So we're going to be doing a series every week for a while throughout the end of the year where those 20-minute main stage sessions, we're going to be playing those for you. We want you to be able to learn from all of our speakers that we had, and we want you to get excited for the Group Practice Conference in May 2026. So tickets just went on sale for the Group Practice Conference 2026. That's going to be in May of 2026 here in Traverse City, Michigan. You're going to want to grab your ticket over at grouppracticeconference.com. Our co-host Headway and the Student Life Department at Northwestern Michigan College, as well as all of our sponsors, are so excited for you to grab your ticket. We know they're going to go fast. All of our sponsors have committed to promoting this through their channels as well. And so we're really excited about filling this conference up quickly. We've got some amazing guest speakers, and they're all 20-minute talks. So if you haven't grabbed your ticket yet, make sure you head on over to grouppracticeconference.com and grab your ticket over there. So let's dive into this episode with some of our speakers from the Group Practice Conference in May 2025. Up next, we have Wendy. I'm so excited for Wendy to talk about going from chaos to clarity and how streamlining your admin workflows is going to work. Wendy, welcome to the stage.
This has been an incredible gift to be able to be here with all of you, a room full of people who really understand the complexity that this work takes and the courage that this work takes in terms of expanding into group practice and being a business owner. I know what it's like to build things brick by brick, all of a sudden to realize that it's on shaky ground, right? And I want to share my story with you in hopes that you can take something away that will help you on your journey, regardless of where you are in that process. So 2007, I took a leap, and I was scared shitless, right? But I was also exhilarated. I left agency work, and I started into solo private practice. And my mentor, Kathleen, invited me to join her, where I was able to share expenses, share office space with other therapists who had also fled agency life. And it was really exciting. And I can remember holding the keys in my hand and standing in that office space and really just looking around at it and thinking, this is mine. I'm escaping the mounds of paperwork that I was doing in agency work and the productivity quotas that just seemed unrealistic for me to be able to achieve. And this is something I could align my values with. And I felt this sense of freedom. When I started decorating the office, we've all done that, right? Picked out furniture for our office, figuring out like the soft, comfy gray chairs that were going to fill my space, a simple, streamlined desk, the artwork that breathes life into that space, and just feeling that deep, deep sense in my chest, like this is mine and I can align with what's really important to me. And so I'm a kayaker, love to kayak. And so that feeling equates to when I'm floating down the Allegheny River in Pennsylvania on a beautiful sunny day, calm, peaceful river, sun shining on your face, birds singing. And then 2020 happened. And all of a sudden, it was like Niagara Falls, and I was up a creek without a paddle. Overnight, our whole world's changed, right? All of a sudden, the safety of our offices, the place that was a sacred place of healing that we were working with people on, was gone and ripped out from under us. Zoom became our offices. I can remember fumbling with the technology that had felt like such a convenience to be able to connect to people, but now I'm suddenly fumbling with trying to do DoxyMe, and things would freeze, and calls would drop mid-sentence, and, just that disconnect. And all of our conversations with our clients, our conversations with our families were filled with grief and fear and anxiety, and it was just absolutely overwhelming, right? So the colleagues that I had built my practice with had started to pivot. My mentor, who's about 10 years older than me, said, I'm going to retire, Wendy. So I'm positioning myself. I'm going to have grandbabies. I want to spend time with them. And people just started to decide to go different ways in an attempt to try to make some sanity out of this really chaotic situation that we were living in. And I knew I had probably another 10 years. Now, this was 5 years ago, right? So hopefully I only have 5 more years of this. But I knew I had another 10 years in me to do this. And so I kept going. And the thing was, my phone kept ringing, and I was starting to just burn and fry. And my husband looked at me and said, maybe it's time you think about building something bigger. Why don't you think about doing group practice? You're not scalable. So think about doing a group practice. And by June of 2020, I had hired my first 3 therapists. And, I thought, okay, this is going to get a little bit easier. Yeah. Right, exactly. That chuckle. That's right, right? Conveniently, my husband, John, is a software engineer, and, that was very helpful to me through all of this. But he could see all of this, and he was amazed at how archaic and manualized behavioral health is. I mean, healthcare in general, but behavioral health especially, right? So he would be shaking his head going, what is going on here? I don't understand. So, the turning point for me was I hired those 3 therapists. I then hired 8 therapists, and then I had 10, and then I had 15. And again, I was feeling like I have a tribe. We can do this together. And the problem was that the phone calls kept coming. Our caseloads kept building. The administrative chaos, the amount of administrative energy to keep it all going just was burying me, absolutely burying me. And John looked at me over dinner, and he said, there's got to be a better way here. So in full transparency, my husband, his culinary skills are basically backyard barbecuing and head chef of Takeout Nation. John's good at that. During the pandemic and during lockdown, we started to order those Blue Apron kits, right? Give a man a Blue Apron kit, and he can channel his inner Gordon Ramsay. So the beautiful thing was he took over cooking for me, right? Because I was down in the basement office working my butt off. And so every night I would come upstairs and he would give me a glass of wine. That was also a coping mechanism through COVID for a lot of us, right? And he would ask me a lot of questions. So over those meal kits and bottles of wine, he would want to know, like, help me understand what happens when a client reaches out between that and when they're sitting in a seat talking to a therapist. How are you credentialing these clinicians? Because I'm insurance-based. And, so it's trade-offs with all that, right? What happens when your claims aren't paying? How are you tracking those, right? Our EHR does a lot in terms of giving us that information, but how many of you are tracking things with a million spreadsheets, right? We're all doing that. Yeah. And, my spreadsheets kept multiplying like rabbits. And the sticky notes I was using just as visuals to try to remind myself not to drop the ball and forget things littered my desk. And, John, being a software engineer, as we would have these meals, he started to pull out a notebook and he started sketching out the workflows, just asking me questions. When this happens, what happens next? What happens next? What happens next? And over those months, we started to really identify all of the workflows and try to get operational clarity. That is what we needed.
I want to thank Headway for sponsoring this episode. If you run a group practice, you know that accepting insurance can be overwhelming. Between credentialing, billing, and payroll, the admin side can easily take over your week. Headway was built to help you handle this, and they're the only platform designed specifically for in-network group practices. Whether you're growing your team or running an established practice, Headway makes the business side easier with faster credentialing, higher per-session rates, and bi-weekly payments your team can count on. They work with therapy, psychiatric, and hybrid group practices. There are no subscription fees, just the support you need to run your practice with ease. Run your best group practice with Headway, trusted by thousands of group practice leaders to simplify insurance admin and reach more people through in-network care. Curious how Headway can work for you? Head to join.headway.co/Joe. That's join.headway.co/Joe to learn more.
I, again, was feeling like a failure as a group practice leader. I mean, I was in crisis mode and feeling like, what fire am I going to have to deal with next today? My weekends and my weekdays all blurred into each other because I was working 14-hour days and answering emails all hours of the day, right? And trying to be there to support my therapists as they're onboarding and trying to figure out all of this and dealing with their life and their grief and their changes. It was overwhelming. And I was reacting and I was firefighting. I'm curious how many of you feel like through that, and even now, like you're firefighting, right? It just feels like that all the time. What we realized was we were not scalable. And so we decided to the software solution. And part of that came from me being in a mastermind group with my coworkers. That was the way I was trying to stay connected to my tribe when we were in the pandemic. And when I talked to them, they were having the exact same issues that I was having. So all of the chaos, trying to toggle the systems together, trying just to manage it all, and all of us exhausted and fried, right? And so in those systems that we toggled together, we just knew that also wasn't scalable. And in sharing this software that John started to help me build, I shared some of my colleagues, some of them are here, and they said, we want this. We really want this. We didn't set out to build software. It really was just to help me manage my sanity and for John to get me back as a spouse, right? So, I thought it was just disorganization, but it's a deeper thing. It really is the operational clarity that we're all struggling to get within behavioral health. And here's a fact that still stings. 82% of small businesses fail because of cash flow issues. Not because they didn't care, not because their mission isn't great, not that they didn't work their butts off, right? It was because they didn't have clarity. They couldn't see what they couldn't see. And lots of times that's happened to us. I've talked with many clinicians who've sold their practice, who couldn't wait to get out, who decided to shut it down because they just felt overwhelmed by it. And that kind of statistic, we're not immune from it. We're not immune from it. And that cash flow problem can sneak up on us before we even know it. And then all of a sudden, you can be bleeding out. Think about the Change Healthcare. How many people take insurance here? Okay, Change Healthcare, did that not kick us into crisis, right? We're trying to figure out, are we going to be able to pay people? Am I going to be able to pay my rent? What are we going to do? I mean, we kicked into full firefighter mode in that. And honestly, we are really just one cyber attack, one system failure from it all falling apart. And that's scary. That's really scary. I know I was flying blind, and when we made the commitment to really start to dig into our workflows and understand them, it was operational clarity that helped save my sanity, right? I could start to see where the bottlenecks were. I could start to see where claims were stuck. I could see where co-pays were missing or co-insurances, we weren't picking those up. And I started to be able to build some confidence back in myself that I could lead this, right? Because firefighting really isn't a sustainable form of leadership. And this is what emerged from the chaos. This is what we call Admira and our software solution. And again, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to build a software to do this. There's plenty of ways to figure out how to commit to an organizational clarity, because that's the real hero for us and the real salvation for us. So, you can do this. You can build your operational clarity. This really wasn't born from a boardroom. It was born from our kitchen counter over late nights and just a sheer will and determination to not give up. It really isn't the tool that matters, but I want to share with you sort of what happened to us before and after. Before I had that clarity, I had that system really well defined. Clients were falling through the cracks. We didn't know whether or not somebody had reached out to them. Things were coming into our shared email box. Things would go on to and answering a voicemail, and keeping up with that was just crazy. So I didn't know where all my bottlenecks were, and I really needed visibility into this. And I was burning out, and so were some of my staff. They were also exhausted because they could feel my exhaustion, right? Once I had operational clarity, I knew exactly where every referral is. Every single referral comes through my workflow, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email, whether it's a text. So I know where everything is at every stage of onboarding and walking a client through the referral process. So it gave me that clarity. We're able to tell clients exactly what their out-of-pocket payments are, and they can commit and know what's expected of them coming into treatment as well. We've streamlined that onboarding, and we're not dropping the balls like we were before. And honestly, our revenue increased. I know in the breakout group I was sharing yesterday that I really think this organizational clarity and putting this system in place is what helped my practice be able to break the 7-figure number as of 2024. And that was my first year doing that. And this was the big thing we were doing differently. It wasn't that we were doing more sessions. It was that we were capturing it better and keeping people engaged. And even better was I started to gain my sanity back. I got my evenings back. I got my weekends back. I could start to put some boundaries around things. And my husband got his wife back, which he was very thrilled to have, right? And I want to share a little story about something real in my practice. Once we got things working with the referral and clinician onboarding, we decided to take a deeper look into our cash flow and claims. And, I started out as an accounting major in undergrad and very quickly realized that is not my thing. Had a psychologist do some testing with me and said, you're a people person, you should be majoring in psychology. So numbers are not my gig. And looking at numbers and the finances feels incredibly overwhelming to me. But I felt like we could tackle this finally. We could start to unravel what's going on with our financial workflow. And as we dug into it, some things looked like it was going well. I could see claims were being submitted. I could see some of them were paying. I could see some of them sitting out there that said they were submitted, but the revenue wasn't coming in. And when we dug into it, the EHR we were using had submitted it to the clearinghouse, but it didn't make it from the clearinghouse to the insurance companies. And so it was slowly aging towards the 90-day timely filing, and we uncovered it as we were mapping that workflow out, and I was able to recover a little over $20,000 in revenue, which was huge. Using that to pay our staff, to invest into growth, to do some marketing, and it was invisible. I couldn't see it. It looked all good, but it wasn't. And we have to be able to have this operational clarity, be able to shine the light in the cracks to see what's working and what's not working, making it visible so we know. Because it's that false sense of hope and then that stomach drop of, oh shit, this is a problem, right? And if we hadn't caught it, we would have lost all of that. Our client engagement is up. We are able to quickly move a client from first point of contact into seeing a therapist, which has been amazing in terms of our engagement with them long term. And again, I have my time back. I'm able to spend time with friends, family, and my dog, which is really awesome. So what of your workflows is draining you? I'm curious. If you think about it, you probably know what it is. Maybe that thing that keeps you up at night, that thing that you're avoiding until you have to deal with it. When you think about it, you're like, no, I don't want to do it. So think about what one workflow is right now for you? Is it lost revenue? Is it client bottlenecks? Is it your burnout, your staff's burnout? What is it? And what could you commit to really thinking about shining light on that and getting visibility into it? It's not really about working harder or smarter or hustling more. I mean, people will try to convince us of that, right? It's really about seeing smarter. And again, I think there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I've talked with great people here who have different systems that they're using and it's working for them. But I've also talked to some of you that the system you're using, you still are flying blind and you're struggling with it because it's manualized. It's a struggle to do that. So just commit to one thing, start small, and be brave and look at it. And talk about it, because the more you talk about it, the more you name it, it takes the scariness out of it. I was able to get operational clarity, and I know that you can too, because you deserve to have a practice that works for you, not one that is sucking your soul dry. Thank you.
Well, tickets just went on sale on Black Friday, and we want to make sure you grab your ticket for the Group Practice Conference 2026. That's happening, kicking off May 4th here in Traverse City. So make sure you grab your ticket right away. We know they're going to go fast. All of our sponsors are committing to promoting this to their entire network. We know that Headway, which is our co-host sponsor, as well as the Student Life Department at Northwestern Michigan College, are all going to be promoting this in addition to all of our other sponsors. So make sure you grab your ticket right away over at grouppracticeconference.com. We could not do this show without our amazing sponsors. And today, Headway is our sponsor. If you are looking for help running your practice and want the best group practice you can have, you're going to want to sign up with Headway. They are trusted by thousands of group practice leaders to simplify their insurance admin and reach more people through in-network care. If you're curious about how Headway can help work for you, head on over to join.headway.co/Joe. That's join.headway.co/Joe. to learn more. Thank you for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music. And this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.